Back in the kitchen, folks. Back in the kitchen with wool, though. I'm not cooking, don't worry. Um, so in between moments of spinning up the Malabrigo noob and also hand carding the wool I've been dyeing, I decided it's a really good idea to have clean wool ready to dye on hand rather than having to go start it up. When you want to do a dye bath, you don't want to have to go back and start with dirty wool. So today I thought I would wash some more wool. I'm picking at it here. That's why I'm not looking at you. I'm looking at this. This is the, I think I called them the golden locks, golden fleeces. Let me show you what this is. It is pretty dirty. Although it's not full of poop. It's just full of dirt and VM. Just a lot of dirt. This is straight from the sheep. But they really are beautiful locks. If I pull this out, you can see. We've looked at these, oh man, a year ago or something. But look at the length of that lock. Lay it here, and it stretches almost out to my fingers. So that is a really, really long lock. So these are well worth cleaning. Even though they are dirty, they are very well worth working with. The end, it was sheared beautifully. There's not a lot of second cuts. I'm just, while I'm waiting for my water to boil, I am sitting here picking out some big pieces of VM. I'm gonna, I just went, hang on, I just went to the thrift store this morning. I got this nice big strainer with holes on the bottom. That's really what you want when you clean wool. But let me show you what else I found. Maybe see that big old stock pot? That's what I found for $6 at the thrift store. It's one of those big, it's not even, it's too fat for, it could be a pasta cooker, but I think it's just a big stock pot. This is my usual large pot. I have been working with the Cheviot for so long, and I thought I would go back to working with this Shetland, this long Shetland. So I'll get on with that. No. I find it easier to pick VM out later when I am carding it or whatever. When the fibers are most separate from each other is when the VM comes out the easiest. When the fibers are compacted, like if you're spinning it into your bobbin, or even now where they're compacted together with dirt or oil, it's harder to get the VM out. The water from that first wash was just filthy, and this water is pretty dirty too. So I'm going to let it sit in that heat for a while so that lanolin comes out. But you don't want it to cool, or the lanolin will harden up again, like grease does. So here's this fleece after 3 washings, and then one extra rinse in addition to the 3 rinses. It's in some lovely sunlight. Isn't it beautiful? Now it's nice and clean. It still has, like I said, those golden locks on the ends. And I've messed with those before thinking they were dirt, and it's actually just really compressed yellow locks. There's still VM in it, but a lot of it is really big like that, and it will come out easier when it's dry. So I'm going to wait for that. So now I've got some more clean wool that I can dye when I come up with my next dye bath idea. The first dye bath that I did last week was with pecan shells. It was hard to find any information about dyeing with pecan shells because everybody dyes with pecan hulls, the very outside of the nut, instead of the shell that's right next to the meat. But I had lots of pecan shells, pecans to crack, and shells that I could use, so I did that, and I ended up with a kind of a pale purpley brown, really pretty, almost a champagne color. This was from dyeing the water overnight in that. I also went for a walk in the pasture and looked for mushrooms to dye with. I only found 1 mushroom in the whole pasture, and I did do what's recommended, which is to pour boiling water over the shredded mushroom and it should extract a dye color immediately if it is a dyeing mushroom. This one was not. This has been a fascinating day of dyeing with onion skins, and I wanted to show you the 3 different yarns I got as a result of one dye bath. They're here drying on my little drying rack. So let me turn the camera down and show you what happened this morning. Okay, so I had about 25 grams of onion skins, not very much. 25 grams is very little. And everybody told me I needed to use half the weight in fiber as I had of onion skins. So that meant, like, 12 or 13 grams of fiber. Well, that's hardly any fiber at all. This little amount here that I put in first, as you can see, it's darker. This was 18 grams, okay? And I did soak it in a mordant. I put it in a bowl of warm water with a half teaspoon of alum. And this is the result I got, which is more of an orange, not the bright yellow you sometimes get with onion. But that's fine. I really wanted a rustier, earthier color first. So this is what I did first. And then a lot of people said, go ahead and put some fiber in for a second try and see what you get. So this, I was kind of in a dither, and I just grabbed a wad of fiber, put it in the same bowl that this had soaked in, which had the mordant in it, and then thought, oh, wait, I don't want to get this color again. I want something yellower. So I quickly pulled it out of the mordant bath, squeezed it, and put it into the dye pot, and didn't let it soak in water for an hour at all. Didn't let it soak in the water really at all. And but then I did let it soak in the dye bath for an hour, and this is what I got. So much more yellow, and those are a nice contrast. Then this over here was the next batch. Now I soaked it only in water. There was no mordant in contact with this fiber at all. And I did let it soak in that dye bath. Now this is the third bit of fiber in there for about an hour. And you see I got very little color at all. Now this is what the fleece looks like originally. And so here's what I got. There's a little bit of color. It's a very faint butter yellow. It may be really pretty when I spin it up. I'm really thinking of using all of this. Well, you see there's still some VM in there, that's for sure. All of this, and it's really very similar in color to the lichen, especially this, and put it with the pecan and the black bean, a lot of different earth tones, and see what I get when I spin those up together. But I'm trying to get enough to really work with. So I'm going to have the heater on in my studio today and dry this fiber out. It's taken me a while to card all this and put it into Rolags before I can even think about spinning it up. But that'll be very fun. So you fiber lovers out there, this should get your heart beating. Isn't that fun? One dye bath, 3 colors. Pretty cool. I think I like this one the best. Yeah, I think I do. After my success with yellow onions, I decided to go back to the grocery store and get some red onion skins if I could, and there were a lot. And I put them in a little bag and weighed them and paid for them as if they were onions. It cost me a nickel. The checkout girl thought it was hilarious because I told her what I was using it for. So I did this yesterday, and I took, this is a good bit of wool. I guess it might be 20 to 25 grams, considering what I weighed the other day with the other wool. And I made my red onion dye bath, and I mordanted the wool in alum. And then I let it soak, and this is what I got. I just got more of the orange. It looks just like the yellow. Well, not just like, but it looks a lot like the yellow onions, and it looks a lot like the lichen. I was like, okay, that's a fun color, but I've had enough of the orange, the orangey yellow. I really wanted something more like an olive green or even a brown, anything else, some nice subdued earth tone. So, and then I also, in order to make it more alkaline, I added some washing soda. That didn't do anything. So today I'm going to do something to it. It's been sitting there all night. That's what I just showed you. It's been sitting there all night. Oh, there's a little onion skin. Yeah, see, there's a little purple onion skin. It really, the onion skins clearly lost their color into the dye bath. And the dye water is going into the wool. It's not like it's not going in. Anyway, I started some iron water. I don't think I showed you this. Yeah, can you see it here? It's nice and dark. It's got rusty screws and nails in the bottom. And I think it's like a half a cup of white vinegar to a cup of water. And then you put rusty nails in it and you let it sit. And it gives you iron water. And you can put this in a dye bath to modify, to change. It's not a mordant. And I guess it could act as a dye on its own, but it modifies the color. So it tends to sadden the color or darken it. I'm hoping it does something to this. It may turn it black or brown or gray, but it'll darken it some. Now, I've not done this before, so bear with me. It is kind of foamy on the top. They say that that's totally normal. I'm going to put, I tried to look online and find out how much iron water to put in. A lot of people use an iron powder, but that's not what I have. So I am going to put a scant quarter cup in here. Now it should be an immediate change. And although it's so dark, it'll be hard to tell. Maybe if I got, where's that spoon? Okay, let's stir it. I don't know if we'll be able to tell in the water. Maybe I'll put a bit more. This can damage your fiber too, especially animal fiber, protein fiber. So you have to not leave it in there long. If it does change the color, it should be pretty quick. Okay, I'm not going to put in more than that. That's like a half a cup. Oh, okay, here we go. I may let it soak for a little bit, but not too long. I'm not going to let this sit too long. It just doesn't look like, when you squeeze it out. I left a comment on a video by a YouTuber named Myra. Her channel is Myra Made Color, or Myra Makes Color. And anyway, she's just lovely. And she replied to my comment, and I just mentioned that I'd had some recent dyeing disappointments. I've only been dyeing for, what, 2 weeks, 3 weeks maybe? I think 2 weeks. And she's been dyeing with her mother all of her life. She's been dyeing for decades. And she said she's had some recent dyeing disappointments too. So it happens. And that's why I'm trying to use this Shetland fleece. I did pay for this fleece. It wasn't free. The Cheviot fleece was free. But I do want to get my dyeing down to a little bit more of an art form. That may be saying much, but before I launch into the fiber that I paid more for. So if I can figure out how to get something besides yellow orange, wouldn't that be lovely? I think I have figured out my problem, and I think it was my pot. We have water here in our county that over time you'll get a lime buildup on your pot, especially if you, it happens in your sinks and stuff too. And I use that, I used to use my dye pot to steam water on the stove to keep moisture in the air. And so it had a whole lot of lime buildup. And I didn't really pay any attention to it. We didn't use it for cooking. And so I left that in there when I started to dye with it. And the dye, especially that first lichen dye, attached to that lime and stayed in the pot. And it got darker and darker every time I used it to dye anything, the pecans and everything.
And so I think that's the reason why my dye color has not been good. So today I decided to clean that pot. I looked online and found out that I put a lot of white vinegar and a whole lot of water in there and brought it to a boil and let it cool down and scrubbed it. It would come out clean. And boy, it did come out clean. And it's squeaky clean. So I am hopeful that the next time I do an onion bath, especially a purple onion, I'll get something else. And I'm hopeful that my iron water modifier will also work better. So that's the latest on my dyeing experiments. Boy, you never know. See you next time, folks. Thanks for watching so much through all of this crazy dye science. Bye.